we're going to have a look at how to make this cute little Christmas chocolate orange cover hat. So let's dive right in. Hello, as promised, I'm now going to make a little chocolate orange cover for Christmas. So this is just going to be a sort of little winter hat. So I've got some red, and this is just DK weight yarn. And I've got scissors and the darning needle just to finish it off. Okay, so this is essentially just a mini hat. So, oops. So we're just going to cast on. Let me find my first pin. So give yourself a decent tail so you're not struggling at the end, and you attach it around that first pin and give the handle a gentle push. I like to hold on just to make sure it doesn't fall off. And then you're going behind the next pin, turn the handle in front of the next pin. So you're alternating each pin. So back, then front, back, then front. You get the idea. Nice and slow with the hand on. And just keep going round. Now when you get to the last one here, because the white one is coming up next, so know that that's the last one, you should always be going around the back of that one. So that's how you know, and that's how I generally know, oh, I've made a mistake somewhere. So you definitely should be going around the back of that last pin. So give it a little bit of a pull. Whoops. And make sure you put your wool in the little feeder and close the door. Now, with this next row, the machine isn't really going to like it. I don't know why, but it just doesn't seem to like when you do that first round after casting on. So just go nice and slow, making sure that your wool is getting pulled through each time. Nice and slow. So you can hear that it's like not really happy with that, but that's fine. Just if it's really stiff, stop and undo. Don't keep going, because it could be that something's wrong. Now we've gone past where the first one is, so we've already done one. You'll notice now that it's not struggling quite as much, and you can start to sort of roll with it. I'm just going to pull some more wool free from the ball. I find with this little machine that it doesn't really work well from a ball of wool like I had. It likes it if it's been sort of caked up. So just make sure you've got plenty of loose wool on the floor. And then keep going. So that was 3. Keep going until you have 45 rows. So I'm on 43 now. Okay. And this is going to be the last one now. So go around nice and slow. Then you'll see your last pin coming up. Okay, so when that white one is back round, you know that you've reached the end. But you need to make sure that that last blue one still gets your wool pulled through. You're going to drop a stitch. Cut yourself a fairly decent tail. Open up your door. And now you need your darning needle. And you can get these. You get one in the box with the little machine, but you can pick them up in other craft shops. You know, Hobbycraft and places like that, Dunner Mill, Amazon even. So just thread your needle. So make sure that that last one is still holding on to that wool. You don't want to drop that stitch. And you need to go nice and slow now to cast off. Because what's going to happen is these little loops are going to pop off. So let me just zoom in a minute. So you'll see that they pop off and there's no pin holding them. So you need to get your wool on your needle and you go in from the inside and pick up that stitch off of there and pull your wool through. Now I like to do this bit nice and slow because, as I've said in other videos, this is always where I mess up and I don't want to because it just wastes time. So go nice and slow, pulling your handle round. Now if you do by accident pull that handle and a few more stitches pop up than what you'd anticipated, then I just pop my finger over to stop it from sliding off as I'm pulling that one, because I have in the past sort of pulled on the work too much and the next stitch has fallen off. This gets more frustrating when you've got the bigger machines and you've got more stitches to do. You do tend to rush a bit more. So you can sometimes, if you get a bit more confident, pick up two at the same time as well. But like I say, just go nice and slow from the inside of your machine, thread your wool through. And if you hand knit or crochet, you'll know that this is so much quicker. Some call it cheating. I don't, because I think there's still a skill involved in being able to cast on and cast off, know what to do. You have to sew things up, you know. Yeah, anybody can turn a handle, but there is a lot more to it than that. But I think it does make it, the craft, a good place to start for people, because you just become more curious then as to, you know, well, I want to sew that up, how do I need to crochet that headband together, so you learn a bit of crochet. And yeah, definitely a good one for kids to get going as well. Now we're coming to the last one, so don't rush to get it off. Make sure you're getting it threaded through. There we are. Pull it off the machine. Let me zoom out again, and I'll move the machine out the way. Now when it comes off, you do need to give it a bit of a stretch. Let me just take the needle off so I don't poke myself with it. Give it a bit of a stretch. Okay, stretch it out. So you just let the stitches form a little bit better. And at the moment, it doesn't look much like a Christmas hat, does it? It just looks like a bit of a sausage. So you just pull in the ends. Don't pull them in tight just yet, because we're going to have to fold this in half to make our hat. Now this is exactly how you would make a hat on the bigger machines. No different whatsoever, other than we're using 22 pin machine, which gives you 22 knitted stitches, and the bigger machines range from 40, 46 and 48, just depending on the brand that you use really. So you literally just fold the tube in half. Make sure you pull out that end through the top as well. Give it another pull. And then there are various ways of closing the tops of these, but I think just pulling them tight for now, because these are just meant to be quick little fun makes for your chocolate oranges. And then you see how that makes a nice little hat. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a chocolate orange to put in there, but I'm sure I will do. So next I'm going to make a little pom-pom to go on the top. So I'll meet back here in a second to make the pom-pom. So I've got my Pom Pom Maker. I'm using these, and these are Clover Pom Pom Makers. You can get loads of different types of pom-pom makers. You don't even have to have a pom-pom maker. Some people make pom-poms using a fork, or just, you know, bits of cardboard is how I used to make them when I was younger. And you don't have to go to any expense to make a pom-pom, I suppose is my point. But I find these really good, and the set came in, you know, various sizes, and I'm just going for a small pom-pom for this maker. So it just opens up on a hinge. Okay, you open it up like this, and then you just wrap your wool around these middle bits, two of them held together. Now I like to start right in the corner and do wrap as much as I possibly can, and then sort of like push it up there, keep going. So make sure you get an even layer for this sort of first one, if you like, to make sure you get all of that holder covered from one side to the other. And then you just keep going back to the other side. Okay, and then once it's pretty chock-a-block in the middle there and you can't physically get any more in, just cut your wool off and close that side. Okay, and then you're going to repeat the same process on the other side of your pom-pom maker. Okay, so there's your pom-pom maker, nice and full of wool. Try and pack it in there as much as you possibly can. Next, you need to see where you've got like this gap in between. You need to get your scissors in there and cut your wool down the middle. I like to use that ridge as a bit of a guide as to where I'm going. Now, tips that everybody says with pom-pom making is you really, really need sharp scissors to do this bit. I can only get away with using these little ones because it's a small pom-pom maker, otherwise I'd be having to get the big sewing scissors out. So just keep going along, cutting your pom-pom. Something very satisfying about that. Right, nice and fluffy, look at that. So let's put that down a second. Get my wool. Now you need to cut a decent amount of wool. Okay, and then between your holder, the two blue bits where you wrapped the wool around earlier, you need to squeeze in your wool in between there. Okay, see how that's gone in the middle, the line we used as a ridge to help guide the scissors. Yeah, and we're going to tie a knot now. So this is forming the string of our pom-pom that's going to attach it to the hat. Nice and tight, pull it as tight as you dare pull without snapping the wool, which is tricky, but it needs to be nice and tight to secure the pom-pom. Then I pull and go down to the other side so we can knot on that side too. pull nice and tight. And again. And go on, just for good measure, we'll go the other side one more time. Although, to be honest, it's only a, it's only a little Christmas make, isn't it? It's not like it's going to be a hat that's going to be worn, but hey, old habits die hard. Now, before I take it off, I like to just sort of trim these longer edges, because it gets a bit crazy once you take it off here, and it gets a little bit harder to trim. Or it does for me anyway. There's some people who've got a really good eye for pom-pom making. That is not me. So I like to use this technique where I kind of give it a bit of a zhuzh here. First, it makes a bit of a mess. So yeah, make sure you're doing it over the bin. Sometimes it's a good place to do it, or not on your carpet, because it does make a bit of a mess. And you just keep going, giving it a bit of a trim. Don't be scared of giving it a trim. Whoops. Told this is the key to great pom-poms, is the effort you go to in the cutting of them afterwards. And then to take them off these makers, you open up blue parts again, and this middle bit just comes undone. You just literally pull it away from itself. You see it's got a little pin there. Yeah. And then I like to hold it by the string and give it a bit of a shake. Bit of a fluff. And yep, more trimming. This is the bit I'm not very good at, because people say, make sure it's nice and round. And I'm like, I can't. I haven't got a good eye for things like that. So we just wing it. Bit of a ruffle. I think that'll do. We'll just clear that out of the way a second. So now we've still got these long bits on our hat. And the beauty with these hats is you can literally just tuck the ends away and hide them. You don't have to go to any great lengths to weave them in and out of your work to hide the mess. Not the mess, but you know what I mean, to stop the ends from coming undone. I'm just going to do it one at a time. Okay, so we've cinched the end of our hat. Just pop it in through the middle. Same with the other one. Might do a little knot on the inside just to secure it. And both sides are exactly the same. There's no, you know, sort of wrong side, right side. But sometimes you might feel, oh, that side's a bit neater than the other, you know. Again, sort of personal preference. So I'm just going to do a quick knot. Now, again, because this is just sort of a decoration, it's not really an actual hat someone's going to wear. I'm not going to... Oh, what happened there? I'm not going to fuss too much, she said. And then with your pom-pom, you get your 2 ends. Now, people probably wouldn't attach a pom-pom like this if they were going to sell a hat, because people like to have options of removing the pom-pom and things. So, but you can do it this way. It's not a problem at all. And you do like the pom-poms to be pretty secure if they're going to be worn, because they do tend to be the victim of being flung. If my kids' hats are anything to go by anyway. So all I did was thread the tail we had for our pom-pom on the darning needle, popped it through the middle of the hat, onto the inside, pull it tight, and we're going to tie a knot again. Now with hats that are being worn, people like to stitch through the pom-pom on the hat to get the pom-pom to be really, really secure on there. You know, like threading it through and things. So, but as I say, this one isn't going to be worn, so we'll just leave it as that. And I would normally hide these tails inside, but I think for a chocolate orange cover, that is more than acceptable. Now, if you feel like your pom-pom is still looking a bit wonky, or, you know, you need a bit more of a trim, go for it, you know, but it can be a little bit of a perfectionist type of thing. Give it a fluff, move all that out the way, and there we have it. So like I say, I don't have a chocolate orange to put on it, but here we go. Here's your chocolate orange cover. You could make them in green. You could put a little buckle on it if you wanted to make it like a bit like a Santa. Lots of options. So there we go. I hope you liked that. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.